Good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? You feeling that fatigue yet? Are you feeling tired of a man out there by the name of Yoshinobu Yamamoto? We're all feeling it. We're waiting for something to happen. But I'm going to give you the latest. I'm going to get you all caught up on the sweepstakes. Looks like we still got 5 teams involved in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to get to that tonight. Corbin Burnes. Looks like he wants to test free agency. He's saying nah to any extensions, it seems. We'll talk about that. Blake Snell. He is waiting for Yamamoto just like we all are, but could a team out west be interested in his services? We had a trade today. The Mets, they got their guy. Adrian Hauser is a New York Met, everybody. We got the Padres doing a little something. It's not just Yamamoto out there. We got a little something else coming from Japan, and it looks like the Padres are closing in on an agreement. 1 second, everyone. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. Hold on just 1 second. All right, we are good to go. How you doing, everyone? Good evening. Over 200 people to start things off. Hello. How are you? Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. It feels like Thursday. I don't know why. This week is going by extremely slow. I have just been keeping my eye on Xland. I feel like every 5 minutes. I'm just checking constantly to see if there's any kind of an update on Yamamoto. I know we're all getting kind of sick of hearing that name, aren't we? Right? It's, first off, it's quite the long name to say, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It's a lot of syllables involved, so we're already getting tired. Our mouths are getting tired, right? But we're just hearing the name constantly, all right? We're waiting for something to happen. And, hey, they're keeping it quite hush-hush. And I know, us baseball fans out there, we want to know something. We want to know anything at this point. Could we get something this week? Christmas is right around the corner. I don't know. Could it be after Christmas? Could it be after New Year's? Who knows? But I'm going to give updates on Yamamoto. We have a few things that came out today. Nothing substantial, but anything at this point feels substantial. So we'll talk about that. We got a little Blake Snell news. We got Corbin Burnes in the news. And don't forget, we didn't go live here yesterday. It was so dry yesterday when it came to any kind of news. We had a couple of things, but it just wasn't enough to actually do a full show. So I held off for a day. I actually went on Ball Cap last night with Jim, and we kind of talked about a couple of things. Pretty laid back stream. So if anyone went over there last night, thank you for stopping by with that. Don't forget, I'm doing the Barreled Up podcast now with Jim. We are now co-hosts of that show with Odyssey. So make sure you go to Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Make sure you turn the downloads on for the Barreled Up podcast, right? We are trying to really grow that podcast. We each have our own channel, but we're also really going hard at that podcast too. So again, the Barreled Up podcast, make sure you have that downloaded. It really does help if you have it downloaded. And if you like us enough, maybe give us a 5-star rating. Just asking nicely. So let's get to it here, everyone. Let's get to it. Before I do get started, as always, if you can, like the show. We're looking for, 200 likes tonight. Can we get to 200 likes by the end of the show? I think we could. Why not? If you can, hit the bell notification. Share the show. Subscribe if you are new. And don't forget, we are proudly sponsored now by BetUS. We will talk about this in a little bit. We'll actually go take a look at some odds that BetUS has on Yamamoto. We'll go take a look at the latest odds on Blake Snell. So keep an eye out for this, maybe around halfway through the show tonight. But that is our sponsor. The link is in the description down below. If you click that, you get a 125% bonus at sign up. So let's get to it here, everyone. Let's get to it. So like I said, we've had a couple of things come out over the last, I would say, like 24 hours or so. We actually did have something last night come out about the Dodgers. And listen, everyone, listen, you know, I'm not one of those where I want to say, oh, I got sources. I got people in my back pocket. I'm not going to be one of those guys, but I do got maybe one or two, right? And I'm not going to sit here and, you know, gloat about it. Doesn't mean anything, right? But I do have someone, and I can actually confirm this. Now, the Dodgers, it says here, according to Jack Harris of the LA Times, they are considering an offer of $250 plus for Yamamoto. And when it comes to, from what I've been hearing personally, and I say this every single time, guarantee someone's rolling their eyes right now. Oh, this guy doesn't have sources. Listen, I'm not saying I'm like Jeff Passan out here, but I got a little something. So I'll read you the exact text that I have personally. So when I was asking the other day, and this was actually a couple of days before this article even came out. So this was what I had. So let me pull this up here. I cannot find it. So I asked, how do you feel about the Dodgers with Yamamoto? And he said, I'm looking for it. Let me see here. He said, won't go past 275. Now, I don't know. Who knows? Minds can change. Things can change. Conversations can be had. But I was told, very good chance, won't go past 275. However, we had this come out today. I just find it interesting that you're seeing this range 250 to 300. And then the number I was given was 275. So we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening there. But I wonder, right? Because obviously, yeah, I know the Dodgers, they gave all the deferrals for Shohei Ohtani, right? So that, yes, it helps them out with the payroll, right? They're saving a ton on the AAV, right, with the CBT. So yeah, it does help there. But listen, at the end of the day, man, like, it's still a lot that you're already committing to Ohtani. Yes, down the road, but you got Betts on there. You got Freeman on there. Yes, I know, deferrals, right? But still, it's a lot of spending, and I don't know. I've always wondered if the Dodgers, after Ohtani, were going to spend big. Now, in my personal opinion, I think, you know, we saw the reports how the Dodgers, right, they had the Avengers come out, right? You had Mookie. You had Freeman. You had the newest Dodger, Shohei Ohtani. A couple other players were mixed in there. Catcher Will Smith, right? So it kind of just makes me think, hey, you know what? Here's our team. We can win. We'll offer you this, but just know you have a really good team here. So I'm thinking there might be a certain limit with the Dodgers. And from what I was told, 275. We'll have to see. Now, it definitely could change. And I know that's kind of a cop-out kind of an answer, but things are always fluid in front offices. Conversations can always be had, right? You can always talk with ownership, and if they say, hey, you know what, go for it, things can happen. But that's what I was saying. I was even told personally that when I asked that question, I said, do you think the Red Sox have a better chance than the Dodgers? And I was told if they go higher than 275, yes. So take that for what you will. You can think I'm making that up. I just find it funny when I'm seeing this 250 to 300, and then the number that I was given was smack dab in the middle of this about 2 days prior to this article coming out. We'll have to see what happens, right? It is the Dodgers at the end of the day. They got money. We know they have money. Obviously, they're looking to win. We'll have to see, though. I personally think for the Dodgers, this is why I think there is a limit on what they will spend. Don't forget, there is the posting fee, right? You got to remember the posting fee. You're probably looking at when it comes to the posting fee, there's rules to it, right? If it's a contract that's over $100 million, I believe it's the first $50 million, I believe it's 20%, and then the next 50, I believe is 17.5%, right? And then the entire contract, I believe it's an extra 15% on top of that. So you're looking at, if you spend $300 million for a contract with Yamamoto, you're looking at around a $50 million posting fee, 50, 55 million, right? So we'll have to see. That's why I'm thinking here with the Dodgers. Yeah, they would love to have him, but at the end of the day, Yamamoto for the Dodgers is going to be a luxury, right? You got to think of the rotation that they're going to have this year. Yes, I understand pitching was a problem for the Dodgers last year, but they're getting Walker Buehler back. You're going to get a second year out of Bobby Miller, right? You got some young pitching there already. You're going to get Ohtani for 2025. So it really would be a luxury for the Dodgers to land him. Now, this isn't me saying that, the Giants or the Red Sox have a better shot, but really when you think about it, when you look at the teams that actually need Yamamoto, not chances of landing him, just simply need, the Dodgers would be near the bottom of that list. I mean, if we're really being honest here. And of course, you'll have Dodger fans that will respond saying our pitching was terrible last year, right? But you didn't have Walker Buehler last year. Dustin May was hurt all last year, right? Gonsolin, he had his issues last year. So yeah, a lot of injuries, right? I do think they could add more pitching. I just wonder if they go this route, right? Do they maybe turn to like Lucas Giolito on like a shorter deal? Someone that will give you innings, but someone that won't cost as much as a Yamamoto. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But with the Dodgers, I'll be honest with you, anytime I put my pie charts out there, if you follow me on X and I put a pie chart, that's based off of things that I'm hearing personally. Now, I'm not Jeff Passan, but I am basing it off of things that I'm hearing. Also, just being a fan of the game for over 25 years now. The offseason is my favorite time of the year, to be completely honest with you. Like, I love the season. No, I'll be honest. If the Red Sox make the postseason, then yeah, that's my favorite time of the year. But the offseason, I'm all for it, man. Like, I love the rumors. I love just looking at the payrolls and stuff. And when I'm getting a feel for this, the way I feel gut-wise is, yeah, the Dodgers would love to have him, but there's going to be a limit, right? And I think they will put a strong offer on the table. I was told 275. We'll see if they go past that, right? And I think the way they're trying to convince him is, hey, we have a good team. This is what we can offer. Just know you're going to be surrounded by superstars here. Yeah, maybe the Giants might offer more, but what we're offering more is a good team, right? So that's where I think the Dodgers are going to try and make up the difference. We'll see. We'll see. And I know I'm probably going to get flamed, thinking, wow, really? What, 275? That's not realistic. Listen, that's what I was told, okay? So, and of course, someone's going to say I'm making that up. But, and again, like I've said like 3 times already, things can always change. Conversations can always change people's mind. We'll have to see. But again, I will reiterate, there's also the posting fee, everyone. There's also the posting fee. You're looking at $50 million if you're going to offer a contract of $300 million. So if you offer $300 million, you're paying $350 total. 50 is going to go to the Buffaloes. 300 will go to Yamamoto. That's a big investment, right? So we'll see. We will see. Now, let's get to some other teams. When it comes to Buster Olney, is he really someone these days that we can fully put our complete trust into? When it comes to ESPN, I feel like it's really gone downhill over the last 10 years or so, and luckily for them, they have Jeff Passan. If they didn't have Jeff Passan, you would have, in my opinion, absolutely nothing at ESPN. I don't know. Buster, I remember, Buster Olney, like years ago, that was the guy on ESPN. And now it just feels like everything he kind of throws out there doesn't really seem to really land very often. But he does say here, he wrote an article today. It was behind a paywall, right? ESPN Plus. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's free agency pits Yankees against Mets. And listen, and I kind of expect someone like Buster Olney to write an article like that. You know why? Because you have to remember this, everyone. You have to remember this. Media is going to media. Of course, they're going to make this as much as they can. And I'm not saying it won't come down to the Yankees and the Mets, but just don't be surprised if you're seeing Andy Martino, who is heavily pushing Yankees versus Mets right now. You know why? Ratings. They love the ratings, right? Especially over in New York. If you got a Yankee versus Mets battle brewing, a bidding war brewing, which it very well could. I'm not saying it can't, but I'm just telling you, they're going to run with that because that's the media for you. They're going to, in every way, shape, or form, run with a Yankee Mets storyline, right? Especially on SNY, right? So I'm not surprised to see Buster Olney, where ESPN, they're all about the ratings, right? They'll get you to click on anything any way they can, right? And it's no surprise here where he also writes Yamamoto's free agency pits Yankees against Mets, which he's not wrong. I'm just saying, but when you're using a title like this, people are going to react emotionally to it. Oh, Yankees, Mets. What? Right? So just take it with a grain of salt is all I'm trying to say. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it came down who knows? The Giants end up being a very strong contender, right? What if it ends up being like Yankees versus Giants or Mets versus Giants? Or what if the Phillies all of a sudden come out of nowhere? You know why they're not going to say any of that? Because first off, I don't think they actually know. I don't think any of these reporters out there, and I don't know, I'm just going off of what someone told me, but no one knows anything that's going on. And if they do actually know something, which I think if there's anyone that knows anything, it is Passan. But I guarantee you, there's like an honor system when it comes to this stuff. I've talked to someone about this before. There's an honor system when it comes to sharing information, right? I guarantee you Passan knows something, but he's just not really being given permission right now to say it. Right? And Passan, he always wants to put out accurate information anyway. So that's just my personal opinion. I guarantee there are things out there that people know, but Yamamoto's camp just doesn't really want to have that shared right now. So they're keeping it as hush-hush as possible. We'll see. But getting back to the main point of this next part that I'm bringing up is only says that the Yankees feel like they have a real shot. We've seen the cautious optimism quote. So we'll see. And I don't blame the Yankees for thinking that, they feel good about it. They should feel good. They absolutely should. The Yankees are the Yankees at the end of the day. Say what you will about last year. Say what you will about recent playoff disasters. But the Yankees are the Yankees at the end of the day. They should feel confident. Absolutely. Right? I feel more confident about the Yankees than my Red Sox. Absolutely I do. Right? Listen, you all know me. I'm wearing my Red Sox jersey. And yeah, I will present every case possible for the Red Sox to have a good argument to land him, but I still think the Yankees have a better shot right now. Right? I personally think that. Let's talk about the Red Sox. There was something today. We have a couple of things on the Red Sox right now. The Athletic, they posted Rosenthal posted an article a little earlier talking about, it was like an updated list. Now it's gone, and I swear, every time I go to click, here it is. So Rosenthal just posted an article a little earlier tonight giving kind of an update on each of the teams. It is behind a paywall, so, just keep that in mind. But he goes, a little bit into detail. Is it this article? No, it's not this article. Let me pull this up really quick. Goodness gracious. My goodness. The Athletic, you're killing me right now. And my potato brain is also killing me right now. Here we go. There it is. All right, so if you go to Ken Rosenthal's X. I'm trying to get used to saying X, right? So he gives kind of like a nice little article to kind of, where you can compare each of the teams, right? So he gives an update for the Yankees, right? So just real quick before I move on to the Red Sox, he has here, the Yankees were extremely impressed with Yamamoto, the person who embodied intelligence and confidence in their 2 meetings with him. He was clear that he wants to be able to operate his own way, the way he did in Japan. From this somewhat unorthodox training methods to his style of pitching, the Yankees felt positive in their conversations with him about wearing pinstripes, which at least touched on their history of Japanese stars who enjoyed playing in the Bronx. The homework the Yankees have done on Yamamoto has been extensive, from sending a scout to every one of his starts last season to Brian Cashman appearing in Japan to watch the no-hitter that he threw on September 9th. And they have number 18 available. I'm going to be honest with you, kind of touching on this a little bit. I personally think the part right here, I think this is going to be a big thing. He was clear that he wants to be able to operate his own way. Keep in mind, the Yankees, they like, from what I've noticed in the past with the Yankees, notice how when they've had players come in, for example, Josh Donaldson, right? Joey Gallo, they come in and and those are position players, so keep that in mind. I'm just using them as examples, where they come in and they try to have them do things a certain way. I wonder if maybe that could be something where the Yankees, they want to have a little bit of control of how he does things. I'm just putting that out there, right? Because I know with the Yankees, right? Because we've seen many players go to the Yankees where all of a sudden they're not playing all that well. And then we see some other things come out later down the road where, like they weren't able to kind of, they were wanting these players to do things their own way, right? Wanting to focus on certain aspects of things. So I don't think that really is a big thing. I think with the Yankees, at the end of the day, they know how good this guy is. I just wonder if he feels, and who knows, I don't know. I wasn't in the conversation, obviously. Will he feel walking away from the Yankees that he can be himself, that he can do his own methods of his training, he can throw his bullpens the way he wants to, that he can do his conditioning the way he wants to? Will the Yankees want to have a thumb on things? Will he feel that way walking away? That's the only thing I have a little bit of holds me back a little bit with the Yankees. But other than that, I think they have a great shot. And to be honest with you, I think if the Yankees, they want this guy, yeah, they're going to probably have to let him do things the way he wants to do, right? So we'll see. We'll see if that ends up being something, but I do find this part of the article very interesting, that he wants to do things his way. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll get to the Mets in just a little bit, so let's move on to the Red Sox here. Moving on to the Red Sox. So we had a couple of things about the Red Sox today, and I will try not to spend too long on this. So I'll keep it short. I'll keep it brief. I'll try. Now, we had this article today. Now, let me actually see if I can pull it up a little quicker. Where is it? Here we go. I'll just go to the article that was posted this morning by Chad Jennings and Jen McCaffrey. So they said here, team sources indicate the Red Sox are still very much in the mix, but how the bidding war progresses is the big question. Ken Rosenthal reported he'd originally thought Yamamoto would make a decision this week, but now he's not so sure. So this definitely gave some optimism to Red Sox fans today, waking up. We'll see, right? And I honestly agree with this. I tweeted about this morning. I gave my thoughts on this. I'm not saying the Red Sox are going to land him. So people are going to, I've already had a couple of people say, oh, man, this guy's coping. Cope. It's not coping. I'm just simply saying I think the Red Sox have a shot at this thing, and that's what I've been told too, that maybe they're behind the Yankees and the Mets, but they're in this thing, and they have every reason to be in this thing. I'm not saying they'll land him, but they should be in this thing, right? They have every reason to be. They have payroll flexibility. They need an ace. They don't just need pitching. They need a top-of-the-rotation guy. So they need that. And even if they aren't really going to go, make as strong as an offer as the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers, who knows what they do, it's a perception thing. You want to try and make yourselves look serious, right? Because you want to, it's not going to make fans feel any better, but at least, if you can put it out there like, yeah, we really went for it. Of course, Red Sox fans aren't going to buy it, but, every reason they have every reason to be in this thing. And I really think in my opinion, I think they have a better shot than what people think. Now, again, I don't think is that enough? I don't know. So we'll see. But we had a couple other things today where we had, same thing about the Red Sox, Rob Bradford, longtime guy in Boston, longtime reporter. He actually talked here with Alex Cora today. I thought this conversation was really interesting. And listen, everyone, it's not bias. I'm just saying, when I'm watching Alex Cora in this conversation, he seems like a guy that seems a bit optimistic. A little bit, at least. I'm not saying the way he speaks in this conversation here that I'm about to show you, I'm not saying that he seems like he knows they're going to land Yamamoto. He comes off where at least he thinks that they have a shot. So let's listen to it.
First of all, this just cut to the chase with Yamamoto. It's like, does the fact that he didn't visit Fenway Park mean anything?
Notice the pause right there. Notice the pause. I am just pointing that out. There was a pause there, right? And he's thinking. You could see, the engine moving in the brain a little bit. So, just pointing that out. I found Cora to be very, very careful with his words in this conversation. He looked like he was really trying to find the right words to say. So, anyway.
I cannot tell you he didn't visit or did visit or didn't visit Fenway.
So we've been seeing some articles out there where, remember, we go back to, what was it, Friday or Saturday, that for Marino Pepin, there was a visit planned, but then there are other reports that came out from Alex Spire that he never actually visited Fenway. Now, I definitely think there's a chance that he didn't visit Fenway, and the next thing that he is going to say, I think actually, in my opinion, probably proves that he didn't visit Fenway. But I just want to point this out, right? We never know anything. Alex Spire can put out there, yeah, he never went to Fenway. How does he actually know? And I would say the same thing if it was the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants. If Andy Martino said this, saying Yamamoto, he never had dinner, right? Let's say he did actually say that. How does he know? Was he there? He doesn't know. Do you think the Red Sox, to me, with the way the Red Sox are approaching this whole thing, they're so quiet about it. Cora's not going to, in my opinion, Cora is not going to go out there and say, yeah, he came to Fenway. No. I think the Red Sox, they want to be as hush-hush about this. He's not going to come out and say he went to Fenway if he did. But there's a very real chance that he just didn't go. Maybe there's one planned, or maybe he's not ever going to go to Fenway. I don't know, but let's continue.
But I think he knows a lot about Fenway. He has friends.
Well,
he has friends that play with. Yeah, he has friends. Like, probably he's been asking. And we're not talking about our left fielder. We're not talking about that. We got guys that play with him this year.
Does anyone know who this is? Let's play a little game. Does anyone know who this is? I'm going to look in the chat. I'm actually very curious. With 500 people in here, I want to know if anyone knows who this is. Let's see if anyone knows. This was a teammate of Yamamoto's. is a teammate. Yep. Okay. All right, so we got a couple of people that know. Couple of people. Alex Sparks, he was a teammate, but this isn't the same one, right?
That had the experience of playing in, New York, experience playing in Boston, experience playing in Houston.
Right, so this probably gives people more hints, right? So I'm already seeing the name, right? It is Marwin Gonzalez, right? Could Marwin Gonzalez actually be the guy that... Could you imagine if Yamamoto actually does sign with the Red Sox, which I think there's a lower chance than the Yankees and the Mets right now? But could you imagine if he does and Marwin Gonzalez ends up being the guy? I'm just saying, that'd be hilarious. Anyway, last part.
Like he played with people that have been, they're ex-MLB players, and they have the inside of a lot of stuff. So, yeah, it's important, but it's not that important.
So the reason I wanted to show that, not just from a Red Sox point of view, I think everyone can learn something from that video, because I in a way, I agree with him. Yeah, it would be nice to hear, like, okay, yeah, he went to Fenway, but listen, it doesn't necessarily mean the end-all, be-all. I mean, it really doesn't, right? Because these guys do know players in the league, right? He has Yoshida, right? He could still very well go to Fenway if he did not go, right? So my point is don't believe the media about everything. Just don't, right? And even if they do say something that's true, there's always something else that could be going on. All I'm saying is keep an open mind. And I would say the same thing if I was a Yankee fan, Mets fan, Orioles fan. It's just keep an open mind when it comes to the media. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, Killbot Factory. My goodness. My goodness. Go have a sandwich, my friend. You seem a little upset. Go have a sandwich. Go take a nap. Go take a nap. Anyway, let's move on. So, basically, really to wrap this all up, no one really knows what the heck is going on right now. No one really knows. We don't know anything. So we're just trying to get any sort of a straw grasp at this point, but there's really not much. We're only just getting little things about each team. If we were to go look at some of the other teams on here, really, we haven't heard much about the Mets, really. The last bit of substantial news that we heard about the Mets over the last 24 hours, I believe, was that they were preparing a serious offer. I believe that came from Andy Martino. Now, I think with Steve Cohen, you never know, man. Like, who knows what that offer could actually be. Now, I don't think it's going to be anything ridiculous. I don't think it's going to be a $400 million contract offer. I just don't. Who knows? So you got to remember, right? Words can always be subjective, right? When you're hearing serious offer tied with Steve Cohen, does that actually mean a high offer of like 350, right? Or could it be where maybe somewhere more in the 300 to 320 range? You know? Could it also maybe mean incentives are involved, clauses are involved, opt-outs, right? Could it mean serious in that sense, right? Giving these little things where it's convenient for the player, right? Could it be maybe a little bit of both? Who knows? I think with the word serious, I think it could mean multiple things, right? Who knows what a serious offer actually is? It could mean high money. It could mean a whole bunch of things, right? But at the end of the day, though, what I think it means is that the Mets really want the guy, right? So whatever it ends up being, it's going to be pretty good, and it's going to make Yamamoto stop and think. So we'll see. Maybe we can get something at some point. But the Mets absolutely have a chance. They do. They absolutely do. You can't count them out at all, especially with Steve Cohen. The only thing that holds me back about the Mets is I wonder how far they are willing to go. They definitely have some flexibility to get something done. And I was actually looking at the payroll with the Mets yesterday, right? So you're at right now 284 for the estimated payroll next year. So they have about $68 million coming off the books after this season, which includes Jose Quintana. You got Severino on the 1-year deal. Got Narvaez, Rayleigh. Got Pete Alonso coming up on arbitration. Hauser, they have now just added, so that's a little bit more on the payroll. So, now actually with Hauser, you had 68 before, so 5.5. So you're looking at around like 73, right? 73, 74 coming off. So the Mets payroll after this year with all of this money coming off the books, you're looking at $210 million. Just so happens the luxury tax for next year, the first threshold, is 241. 241 minus 210, you're looking at $31 million, right? And that's not counting arbitration raises. That's not counting other players that you're probably going to have to add. So that's just right now what their payroll would be once all of these guys come off the books. You're looking at right now 210 with 31 roughly remaining, right? But that's not including anything else. So that makes me wonder. And listen, I'm going to say this about the Mets too. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I just want to just make sure Mets fans at least hear my opinion, right? David Stearns, this is a guy that's well respected, man. And he has always operated on a small budget. And I personally think with Steve Cohen, at some point, yeah, you could say Steve Cohen, he's this billionaire guy. He's just going to throw money around. Listen, I've said this before. He's not a billionaire because he's just throwing money around left and right. At some point, he's got to pump the brakes a little bit. They're going to have to reset this luxury tax at some point. I guarantee you Steve Cohen doesn't want to be paying $25 million in taxes every single year. Who would want to do that? I mean, let's be realistic here. Who is going to want to pay $25 million in luxury taxes every single year? I mean, come on. And fine, like maybe you could pay those taxes at some point, but at some point they're going to have to reset because they're over this luxury tax every single year, and they're blowing through it, and they're blowing through all the thresholds, right? So you're going to be adding a lot of luxury tax here. So I wonder if there's a certain limit for the Mets when it comes to a Yamamoto offer. Now, that certain limit can definitely be really good for the AAV every single year. Definitely can, right? Because like I said, you're looking at maybe around $30 million in flexibility after all of these players come off their books. Right there, $30 million per year, maybe a 10-year, $300 million contract, maybe a little bit more, right? Don't forget, posting fee does not go towards your payroll. So, yeah, I could honestly see the Mets maybe even going 350, right? 320, 350. I could really see the Mets doing that. I really do. Because I think with Cohen, they're looking for 2025 and beyond, right? That's where they see Yamamoto fits perfectly because he's going to be the ace of this staff when they go into those really good years. So that's why the Mets are very strong contenders in this because they have a ton of money coming off and they can put that money to good use with Yamamoto. I just wonder with David Stearns, who Cohen didn't just bring this guy in to make good trades and good free agent signings. Of course, he's going to bring that. But also, David Stearns, he's going to be a guy that's going to be good with the payroll, too. He's going to make good baseball decisions without blowing out your wallets. That's why you have David Stearns. He's going to make the good moves, but he's going to do it while also conserving money, right? Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind, right? The Mets will definitely make a strong offer, in my opinion. But at some point, I wonder what that line is. Do they tap out at 350? Could it be lower? We'll have to see, right? We'll have to see. And the same thing kind of goes to the Yankees a little bit, right? Look at the Yankees right now. You got 279 as of right now. And the one thing with the Yankees is they also have a lot of payroll coming off the books, right? So they definitely have that going for them too. Soto, I personally think, I don't know, man. If I'm freaking Hal Steinbrenner, I want to keep Juan Soto on my team for a long time. So I think they find a way to keep him. So let's just imagine that $33 million. Let's just imagine it ends up being $35 a year for Juan Soto. Just rough estimate, right? So then you're looking at still a decent amount of money coming off the books. Club option for Rizzo, that's 17. Canely, you're looking at, that's around a little under 6. So that's $23 million right there. Verdugo, bye-bye. That's going to bring you up to around 32. Gleyber Torres, see you later. That's around 47 at that point. Clay Holmes, $6 million. That brings you up to 53. 2.5 for Loaisiga. I know Johnny Lasagna on X. He's going to be upset if he leaves, but see you later. Right? So the Yankees, they got a lot of payroll flexibility coming off the books, right? But if they keep Soto, you're still looking at a payroll here that's going to be breaking through that luxury tax if you add Yamamoto. And the only reason I'm bringing this up with the Yankees is because Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner, they're not doing things like George Steinbrenner used to do. They're being a little bit more aware of the money, right? Yes, they have the money, but just look at what Hal Steinbrenner has done with payroll before, not wanting to go over luxury taxes. I think they're okay with going over it for a couple of years, but at some point, are they going to want to reset the luxury tax? So adding Yamamoto, yeah, of course, we all know the Yankees are one of the richest franchises in the world, right? But at the end of the day, if you're working with payroll constraints and limits and thresholds, are they going to want to reset, right? Don't forget, it's not just Yamamoto. You got 26 guys on the team. So you're going to have to add some other pieces as well. You got all this money coming off the books, but, how are you going to replace these guys, right? Yamamoto is not going to replace all of these guys. So that's something I wonder about. That's something I wonder about with the Yankees as well. We know they got the money. The Mets got the money, but just keep in mind they have the high payrolls already. Yes, they have a lot of money coming off the books, but I just wonder, again, I'm not saying they're not going to make strong offers, but how far will they go, right? That's where I get to the Giants. Let's get to the Giants next, right? So going back to the article, I'll be honest with you. Listen, I know people have been saying stuff about the city and everything, but the Giants, man, they got the money, right? And they got the payroll flexibility. I'm sorry. You can say what you will. You can say they don't have a chance, which, hey, maybe they don't. I don't know. They definitely don't have as a competitive of a team as Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, right? They're definitely behind. They just scare me with the money, right? And Yamamoto, he's going to be the star. Absolutely going to be the star there. He'll be on, his face will be everywhere. He'll be on milk cartons, spoons, socks. Restaurants will have sandwiches named after him. Yamamoto will be everywhere in San Francisco. So that's something I wonder if that comes into play a little bit. You just got Jung-Hoo Lee. All right, so that's a pretty good addition, but they're definitely still behind. But again, the payroll flexibility scares the crap out of me. And they also have a lot of money to spend, right? They've been trying to spend this money. No one wants to take their money, right? They're saying, take our money, please. And no one wants to take the money. And of course, you can say, yeah, Victor Fuentes, you're right. Not milk cartons, whatever. You know what I mean? Just, you'll be on all the products out there all over the place. City-wise, will that deter him? Right? We've been hearing a lot about the city of San Francisco. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't heard more about the city of San Francisco over the last few years. It's not doing too good. And of course, people in San Francisco and near it, they're going to argue back against it. But I don't know, man. I've been there. I've seen it. There's some beautiful spots there, but there are some issues. And Ken Rosenthal, he talked all about it as well. So could that be a deterring factor as well as the team not being very competitive? There's no way right now they match up against the Dodgers, not even close. You could argue the Padres are a better team. I know, yes, standings-wise, yeah, the Giants are better last year, but if you're looking at talent, I think you give the edge to the Padres, in my opinion. But then again, it's not all about talent. It's about, actually putting W's on the board. So that is something. But the one thing with the Giants, I just worry about the money. That's the only thing. And of course, and then the last thing I'll say about my Red Sox is they have the payroll flexibility, right? They got a lot of it. 169 right now. They got money coming off books. We'll see. I don't know. Right now, it's anyone's guess at this point. I know I'm rambling. I know. I'm just thinking here. It's trying to get you updated as much as I can. So those are my thoughts. You can disagree with my thoughts. I guarantee I have an angry comment after this stream. And I've already probably gotten one during this, and I didn't see it. But it is what it is. Also, really quick, I had a super chat the other day. Lamont Wade, speaking of the Giants, Lamont Wade 31. I don't know if you're here in the chat right now, but supposedly, I guess I missed a super chat from you the other day, and I want to make sure I get that. So let me see, where was that super chat? Because I want to honor it, because I feel bad because I missed it. Lamont Wade 31, $1.99. Who will the Giants sign to compete with our rivals? Well, Yamamoto would be nice, right? If we're looking at the Giants right now, I mean, listen, you know what? I think that's a nice segue. I think that is a nice segue into the next story a little bit here. So let's pull this up. Where is it? Of course, I can't find it. Here we go. Let's talk a little Blake Snell. John Morosi, this came out yesterday around 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. He says here, the Angels have had recent dialogue with Blake Snell and the reigning Cy Young Award winner. Of note, since the Angels aren't viewed as a strong candidate to sign Yamamoto, they don't need to wait. John, listen. I know he's saying pitching market, but if the Angels want Blake Snell, they're going to have to wait for Blake Snell because Blake Snell is not coming off the board until Yamamoto comes off the board. So we need to get that set. So Lamont Wade 31. I don't know if you're here in the chat. Again, sorry I missed your super chat the other night. But I think the Giants could definitely be a fit for him. Why not? Why couldn't they be a fit? They have money. That's the thing with the Giants right now, and I've been saying this. Why not just go spread the money out? So, you're having trouble luring these guys. And again, it's, right now it's like, what can they do anyway? Because they're being held up by Ohtani, by Yamamoto. It's not like they can really do anything anyway. I'm just saying, really focus on keeping tabs on some of these other guys. I think Chapman would be perfect for them. They need an upgrade at third. Bellinger, I thought was great until they signed Jung-Hoo Lee, but I also like that signing too. So could they still add Bellinger, honestly? Jung-Hoo Lee is more of a top-of-the-order bat anyway. Bellinger, that's more of that middle-of-the-order bat. So, I know their outfield is a little crowded right now, but I think Bellinger would still be an upgrade. However, seems like the Blue Jays, Cubs, they're probably the leaders for Bellinger at this point. So, could the Giants maybe go for Chapman, but also use the money on some pitching? And there was an article recently saying that the Giants would not mind at all trading one of their starters, even a young starting pitcher like Kyle Harrison, which is like, what? Why would you trade that guy? If they added a veteran starter. So why not go after Blake Snell? And reports are that Blake Snell definitely likes the West Coast a bit more. Well, I mean, hey, he's from Seattle. And honestly, and I've said this like a million times, he is to me at least, such a West Coast guy. When I hear him speak, when I kind of see just how he operates, obviously he was on the Rays for a while, so I definitely had a lot of Blake Snell time with my Red Sox and whatnot. But I don't know, he's such a West Coast guy to me. I don't know why, he just comes off that way to me. I don't know. So I could definitely see a team like the Angels, the Giants, who are in positions right now to overspend. The Angels definitely can overspend right now. Actually, what is the Angels' payroll right now? You know what? Because I feel like the Angels have been completely forgotten about since the since everything happened. I mean, look at the Angels right now. You know, you would think because they got Trout and Rendon, you would think their payroll is still really high. It is actually in a really good spot right now, 153. The Angels absolutely have flexibility here to go offer a contract that's an overpay if they wanted to make that happen to go get Blake Snell. I really think, and William Reap, I think Snell, FIP was higher last year than the ERA. I think you'll see some regression with Blake Snell, yeah. But the thing with Blake Snell is he has really good stuff. So as long as the stuff is good with him, I think he's going to be fine. But over the years, you know, once that velocity starts going down a little bit, once the off-speed pitches start kind of losing a little bit of bite, that's when I wonder what Snell is a very pure stuff guy right now. He's in his prime. So I agree. I think when maybe a few years from now you start to see a little bit of regression, we'll see. But right now for the Angels, they need something to feel good about. And I think someone like Snell could really help them. And again, the Giants. So answering the question, Lamont Wade, I really think the Giants would be a really nice spot. And they really could use a guy at the top of that rotation. I know you got Logan Webb, but Logan Webb needs some help, man. Like, listen, I'm a big Logan Webb guy. Really like Logan Webb. He's one of my favorite pitchers in the game. But he needs someone. Right? I'm sorry. Like, I'm not having Anthony DeSclafani, no disrespect, as my number 2. You need someone with this guy, man. So, honestly, and hey, you got one lefty in Kyle Harrison. I think Blake Snell really makes some sense, man. You know, over time, you know, Blake Snell, he gives you a few good seasons. You know, maybe you could land, you know, maybe a couple other guys in the next couple of years, and we'll see. But I think Blake Snell, I think it's going to come down to the Giants and the Angels, personally. Now, let's see what our sponsor thinks about Blake Snell. Let's see here. And tonight's sponsor, it is BetUS. We are happily partnered with them. They right now they have Blake Snell, the best odds right now. I kind of disagree with it. They have right now Blake Snell at plus 150 for the Giants. Listen, everyone, I'm just saying, if you want to go make a bet right now, they got plus 2,000 on the Angels right now. I mean, I'm just saying. All right, I got to log in. Whoopsies. So that could be a pretty decent bet, honestly, to be completely honest with you. I mean, right now they got plus 2,000 on the Angels. I mean, that, I'm just saying, that is pretty good. Let's go back to Blake Snell. My goodness, everything just went completely off right there. So okay, we're back now. So Giants are at plus 150. They have the Dodgers at plus 250. I don't know if I don't like that. I don't think he's going to go to the Dodgers personally. There's just something about the fit. I like the Angels and the Giants fit better because the Dodgers right now, you got Buehler coming back, you got Miller, right? And you got some other younger guys in there too, and they could go out and maybe get someone. Snell, for me, I just don't see them committing to a long contract for Blake Snell. I could see them maybe going like a 2-year, 3-year deal for Giolito instead, to be completely honest with you. So, or I see you in the chat, Philip. They could just make another trade, right? Could they go after Corbin Burnes? But we'll talk. That could be a good transition. But right now, again, Blake Snell's odds best right now that BetUS is telling us is plus 150. So keep that in mind. And we can also go check out the odds for Yamamoto. Or did they take Yamamoto away? Oh, they took Yamamoto away. It was just here earlier. Oh, well, that closed. So BetUS, make sure you're keeping an eye on the games that you can play because things can definitely close. So make sure you keep an eye on that. But Blake Snell, you can definitely go drop something. And again, the link is in the description. Plus 125 bonus. Not bad if you ask me. So here we go. Speaking of Corbin Burnes, speaking of Corbin Burnes, let's talk about him. And we've had a little something on Corbin Burnes the last couple of days because he went on the Foul Territory podcast, right? We got AJ Brzezinski there. You got Eric Kratz. So, hey, I like listening to those guys. Pretty nice. But he went on to say here, being in my shoes, being a year away from free agency, I think if a trade and extension type of deal came up, obviously every guy that gets this close to free agency wants, I just got distracted by something, wants to test the market to see what your true dollar amount is, see what teams really are in on you. It would have to be something that would just absolutely blow you away to get you away from testing the free agent market and being able to choose where you want to go. I think that's one thing every player in their career wants to get to. Once you get that 6 years of service time, which for a lot of guys takes 7, 8, sometimes 9 years to get to, you get that chance to test the market and see what your top dollar is. So when I'm reading this about Corbin Burnes, sounds like a guy that wants to test free agency. I think if a team did pull off a trade, but then I think of the team from a negotiation standpoint. He's saying you're going to have to blow them away. I don't know, man. I just think a team, if they want to, especially with Boris being his agent, I think if a team tries to blow him away, I think they're not putting themselves in a great negotiation position to where they're just going to, like, so for example, baseballtradevalues.com, link is also in the description. If you use the code HIDE, you get a 10% off for the subscription for the entire year. Christmas is in 5 days, everyone. Go get yourself a gift. 1 year subscription on Baseball Trade Values. So right now, and if you use the subscription, if you sign up for it, you get access to these 3 tools: future trade value, future free agent value, and future extension value. So right now, Corbin Burnes, they are projecting for 7 years a $255.5 contract with a $36.5 million AAV. That, honestly, if I'm thinking about Corbin Burnes, sounds about right, man. He's one of the top pitchers in the game. You combine the market. Yeah, that sounds about right, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, maybe you can go up a little bit, maybe down a little bit. We'll see. And who knows? Maybe Corbin Burnes ends up, let's see how he does this coming year. Those numbers have been going down each year over the past 3 seasons. Since 2021, that guy was a madman that year. Then they went down a little bit in 22. And this past year, they went down even more. Listen, I think Corbin Burnes is still one of the best pitchers in the game. But let's say his numbers go down even more this coming year. Could that affect the contract that he ends up getting? Could that maybe end up hurting him, right? If he keeps going that way. I don't know. Right now, not a bad-looking contract if you ask me. So let's say the Red Sox, maybe the Giants, one of these other teams out there. Let's just say Giants, Red Sox. Let's say they swing and miss on Corbin or on Yamamoto. They could pivot to Corbin Burnes. And if they approach him, say like, hey, man, we'll do 7 years, $250. You want to do it? I just wonder at that point, if they start off with like $250, well, then Boris is probably going to come back with like $300 or like $320 or something like that, something ridiculous, right? So I wonder, I feel like if a team right now tries to approach Burnes about an extension, since he seems dead set on hitting free agency, I feel like a team is just automatically, they're just not in a good spot to negotiate at that point. So I feel like he probably ends up hitting free agency unless the Red Sox, if let's say they made a trade for him and where they got money to spend and they need a guy like him. Maybe they come on, maybe they approach him with like a strong offer, like maybe like 240, 235, right? And who knows? But for me personally, I think Burnes, ends up hitting free agency. He just sounds like it, the way he talked about it. But it also sounded like he left room open to at least hear something. So most likely, though, he's going to be a free agent. If there's some other teams out there that could trade for him, do the Angels make a move? You know, you'd probably only have him for a year. But maybe he thinks, you know what? Maybe playing with Trout for the next few years, maybe that's fun. You know, maybe the Texas Rangers, they really could use a guy like him right now, especially with Scherzer on the shelf, and they could definitely get a deal done. Could the Atlanta Braves, if they fall out with Dylan Cease, could maybe Corbin Burnes be a guy they pivot to? We'll see. We'll see. So, Dubs 1908. I don't think that is accurate. I could be wrong. No, Dubs, that's not correct. He dumped CAA, and he's with Scott Boras. So, or am I reading it wrong? It says right here, Corbin Burnes dumped his agency. I don't know. Maybe I thought I had saw that he was a Scott Boras client. Let's see. Yeah, no, he's a Scott Boras client. Yeah, Dubs, right here. Just want to confirm that. So yeah, Burnes has now enlisted the Boras Corporation as his new representation moving forward. So yeah, after the whole arbitration thing, I think that's when he fired his agency. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. We actually, man, the segues right now, the transitions right now from story to story, they're just perfect right now. We did have a trade today with a starting pitcher. Now, was this the sexiest move? No, but you know what? I kind of like it for the Mets. Listen, hey, everyone, the Mets got their guy. They don't need Yamamoto. They got Adrian Hauser. They got Tyrone Taylor. You don't need Yamamoto. You're fine. You're good. You got Hauser. But this was actually a really good trade for the Mets, right? And really, you got Hauser, who's a back end of the rotation guy. He's going to be a guy. He's not going to, he doesn't have a ton of upside. More of a floor guy, in my opinion, but I feel like he could be really solid. If you take a look at the numbers last year, 23 games, 21 starts. Yeah, I definitely could use some more innings. He hasn't broken 150 innings in his career, but for the most part, he's always been really solid. A career ERA of 4.00, a career FIP of 4.19. You're going to get more ground balls with Hauser. At the end of the day, yeah, he's not a number 1, number 2 starter in your rotation, but this is a guy, 4 or 5 in your rotation. I think that's fine. You're adding depth here. They only had to give up one prospect in Coleman Crow, where, if you look at Coleman Crow with the numbers, yeah, he was pretty good this past year, but I believe he had, I don't know what his injury was, but he definitely missed a lot of time this year. I'm wondering, was that a Tommy John kind of a thing? I don't know. But ERA looked pretty good over the 4 starts. The really good strikeout to walk ratio. However, with him, you're not seeing a lot of velocity. You're seeing a decent potential for slider and the curveball and good command. So, a guy that didn't really pitch all that much this past year, not a whole lot of velocity. I feel like the Mets here, absolutely worth it. And if we actually look at the trade, here, let me refresh this because I got the ad blocking the number. But the Mets definitely won this trade, right? Because Adrian Hauser, you have to remember, he's a starting pitcher, and people need to remember that starting pitchers have, for the most part, pretty good value. He's not under a lot of control. He's only got 1 year left, but he's not going to be expensive. And we actually were looking at the Mets payroll earlier. He's not really a hit to their payroll. What was it again? Like 5.9? or like 5.6 or something like that. 5.6. So, yeah, you're going to get some innings. You're not really paying him all that much. Not bad. Still only 31 years old. Maybe you could tap into it a little bit more. We'll see. Then you get Tyrone Taylor. Whatever. I think he's just going to be more of a right-handed bat. He's not really giving you all that much. The splits with him in his career really haven't been anything drastically different. When you look at him against lefties, it's a 104 WRC plus. Against righties, it's a 100. So, but he's a righty bat, and they have some lefties there, so that's kind of the way I look at it with the Mets. So he's really just going to be balancing out probably just playing time, with someone like a DJ Stewart. Right now they have him projected for left field. Does this end up being what they end up doing? I feel like they add a DH at some point. Could it be Justin Turner? Could it be JD Martinez? Could it be someone like Jorge Soler? Yeah, I think what you're going to see is probably a platoon of Tyrone Taylor and DJ Stewart out in left field. That seems to be probably the way they're going here. And I'm leaving out the biggest part of this. It just so happens that, David Stearns, right? He knows these two very well. So, honestly, hey, David Stearns, he pulled off a great trade here. Always like seeing a team that, hey, if they can get some good value, I like it. And I think for the Brewers, why not? You're getting a guy that maybe could have some upside at some point. We'll see. But overall, good trade for the Mets. Good trade for the Mets. Let's see here. We do have one more story to cover, and then I'm going to get to the Super Chats at the end of the show. So, we actually have another picture from Japan. It's not just Yoshinobu Yamamoto, everyone. It's not just him. We got another one. Let me pull up the numbers real quick. For Yuki Matsui, lefty out of Japan, 28 years old. One of these under-the-radar guys, right? You have Yamamoto, you have Shota Imanaga, but then you also got Yuki Matsui coming from the Eagle. Is it the Eagles, I believe? I'm going blank on the Rakuten Eagles. That's the same team that Masahiro Tanaka was on. But last year, really, look at the numbers. Not bad. Not bad at all. So, again, you're not really seeing, it's going to be a guy where I believe he is more of a bullpen guy. But when you look at the ERA, it's a 1.57. It's not bad. And I think that could be a really nice addition. If Hader goes somewhere else, which it looks like that's going to be likely, this guy slots in as a lefty in the back end of at the back end of the bullpen for you. I like it a lot. So, but it looks like the Padres. Sorry, I was just mentioning Josh Hader. I don't think did I mention the Padres? I'm going blank. The Padres are near an agreement with Matsui. It seems like the only thing that's holding this up is probably a physical. That's what I would think. It seems so. But they're not really confirming it. It's a little hush-hush at the moment, and I'm intrigued to see what the contract is going to end up being. We'll see. I feel like I saw some kind of a rumor out here. It's one of those accounts that you got to be really careful with. Those this one's MLB Scoops. I think they had something. I don't know. Again, it's kind of hard to really say if this is any bit true. But it says here, Yuki Matsui is signing with the Padres for 4 years at $21.8 million, 5.2 per year. I don't know. Those are some random numbers just to throw out there. But who knows? He also just tweeted out 2 hours ago that the Dodgers have emerged as the favorites for Yamamoto. Oh, what is going on here? I don't even know. But, yeah, if that ends up being what it is, and the Padres, and I like the move, honestly. If this ends up being true and it gets confirmed, I think it's a really good move for the Padres. You're adding a 28-year-old to put in the back end of the bullpen, and he's not really expensive. Seems like he possibly could be either a setup guy, maybe a closer. Who knows? But I like it. And if they, according to the reports, they want to keep the payroll low. So that move, if it ends up being true, I think that's a nice move. It's a low-cost move. It's an under-the-radar signing. I think it's a really nice one. So, hey, if it ends up being true, we'll see. Yeah, I agree. Light standard, MLB Scoops, half the time is just yapping random stuff. Yeah, it's very random. But the one thing about that account, and again, I take it with a very, very small grain of salt. They have gotten stuff before. They have. And so I can't really say that they're the worst out there, but they throw a lot of crap out there. All right. So you got to be careful with them. Got to be careful. They did have the Corey Kluber thing last year. I remember they posted like really early in the morning, and then it was announced that Kluber went to the Red Sox, which they had tweeted about that morning. So they confirmed they had something on the Justin Turner talks with the Red Sox before really anyone else did. They had the Martin Perez signing before anyone else did yesterday, it seemed. So again, though, they throw a lot of stuff out there. So no. Got to be careful. Either way, I like the signing for the Padres. Good low-key move. High upside move, in my opinion. And it just so happens he's a lefty reliever. Hader's gone. There you go. I think it's a good move for the Padres. So let's get to some Super Chats here, everyone. Let's get to some Super Chats. I know we had a few in here. Thank you for the Super Chats. Everyone, while I'm pulling these up, if you can, like the show. Did we hit our goal? We did. We reached our goal. 200 likes. I appreciate that, everyone. I love you all. You're amazing. But we did get a few Super Chats, so I'm going to read these now. Albert Galvin, $4.99. What do you think full throttle means for the Red Sox if they don't get Yamamoto? One move to save the offseason, trade for Cease and Robert. Hey, sorry. Here comes my giraffe neck Robbie. You asked for it. But I think Montgomery is the pivot, right? They have really shown their interest in him since the beginning. If you go back to the general manager meetings in the early offseason, they made it known right away that they had him pretty much circled and they were interested. They're just waiting on Yamamoto right now. Everyone's waiting on him. So I think that's the pivot move. I could see him in a trade. That's the way I see it. I wonder, the one thing I do wonder, if they somehow land Yamamoto, do they go after Montgomery at that point? Or do they maybe make a trade at that point? If they did land Yamamoto, would they also try to sign Montgomery? It's a lot of money committed. And I wonder if the Red Sox would do that. I feel like no matter what, you're going to see a signing and a trade. I feel like you're going to see one of each for the Red Sox, but it's going to be pitching no matter what. Who they end up being, I don't know. To me, and again, I've talked about Corbin Burnes before. I talked about this last night with Jim over on Ballcap. I don't think the Red Sox line up as the best trade partner for Corbin Burnes when you think of values and player and team needs. I don't know if they really line up all that well because the Red Sox right now, I don't know, for like, and you know, hey, I'll show a trade. Let's do it. Let's see what a trade would look like for Corbin Burnes and the Red Sox. I'm just answering the Super Chat, everyone. Don't get mad at me. I'm just answering the Super Chat. Giraffe Neck Robbie is in full effect right now because a Super Chat was submitted. But again, looking at the Brewers and the Red Sox, do they necessarily line up as good trade partners? Now, if we put Corbin Burnes on the Red Sox, and again, you know, there's the whole extension thing. Who knows? Like, I don't know if the Red Sox would really be interested if he's only going to be a rental. But let's put it together. For the Red Sox, I would imagine the Brewers would want someone back like Cutter Crawford. That would be a good cost-controlled starter. That would be, you know, a 4 in your rotation, maybe upwards of a 3 if he takes another step forward. But then again, what do you put with him? You're not going to put Duran, which Duran already has a lot of value anyway, so I don't really see Duran being a fit. But the Brewers don't even need an outfielder. Right? Their outfield's set. You got Yelich, Chiriot, now you got Frelick. So I don't think they really need an outfielder. So you're taking him out. They could use an infielder. Now, when I'm thinking of someone like Nick York, he was hurt a couple of years ago, and he did okay last year in the minor leagues. I'm curious to see how he does this coming year, but I don't think Nick York would be a guy because I don't think the Brewers would. I mean, I don't know, maybe if they get a major league starter in return and they get a prospect that's probably going to be in AAA, but would they want a major league ready guy? The only major league ready infielder that the Red Sox really have that has some kind of value would be Emmanuel Valdez. That's, I mean, realistically, if you're looking for, the Brewers are looking for major league talent, that's the only guy I could really think of, right? So let's say you did Cutter Crawford and Manuel Valdez, and you're in the ballpark now. I would imagine it's because it's Corbin Burnes and teams are going to line up. You're probably going to have to offer more than this. So could the Red Sox add in, someone like Wickelman Gonzalez? Could you do... But again, would the Red Sox want to give up pitching prospects when they're very thin on them for 1 year of Corbin Burnes? I don't see that happening. I don't think the Red Sox... I would love Corbin Burnes in a Red Sox jersey. I have a hard time seeing how it happens, though. I don't know. Unless the Brewers are okay with maybe taking Nick York and maybe one of the pitching prospects or Emmanuel Valdez. But that feels weak to me. That's just me. I feel like the Rangers would have a better offer, right? They could offer... You could do like Justin Foscue. You could do Jack Leiter. I think the Rangers, in my opinion, they seem to have better fits when it comes to a trade. So, Red Sox, I don't know. But I could see maybe the Marlins, maybe Jesus Luzardo. I could possibly see something like that. The question is, though, recent reports said that the Marlins, they were looking at Vinny Pasquantino with the Royals as a centerpiece of that deal for Jesus Luzardo. So does that mean that the Marlins would want Tristan Casas? I don't know. I don't know if the Red Sox would give up Tristan Casas even though it's 3 years of Jesus Luzardo. I feel like I like Luzardo. He's gotten himself together over the last couple of years. But is that someone I really want to give up Tristan Casas for, who I think has a lot of upside with the bat? I don't know, man. I just feel like, I don't know. Would they possibly take Jarren Duran instead? We'll have to see. But I think the Marlins could be a good trade partner. Maybe Luzardo. I don't know. I just feel like, it feels like the Red Sox need a name. You know what I mean? They need a star. That's what I like. Corbin Burnes, they might not line up really well, but God, that's a guy that they, name-wise, I feel like they need right now, just to make them feel more legitimate, right? Like they're in this thing, you know? That's just me. But overall, Red Sox, they're going to be getting pitching. I don't know how they do it. Hopefully, they do go full throttle. I'm going to give them the offseason to show full throttle. Just because they don't land Yamamoto doesn't mean they can't go aggressive for some other guys out there, right? Because you have payroll flexibility. When you have that and money to throw around, you can make things happen. Jacob Toon, thank you for becoming a member for the 27th month. Thank you. Brandon Lee, probably talking like us Jays fans 2 weeks ago. Brandon, it's so true. It's so true. I was on the board. I was on the Blue Jays bandwagon too. I was coming up with reasons why Ohtani would be good. I was starting to think it was real. Ozzy, how you doing? $1.99 Dodger fan. I prefer Luzardo over Burnes. I would too. If he doesn't want to do the extension, I'd rather go get Luzardo, who's under control for 3 years. I agree with you. Jimmy Productions, $1.99. Teams be mad when the Nationals sign Gallen and Sasaki. Could you imagine Roki Sasaki going to the Nationals. If he gets posted next year and the Nationals feel like they're ready to compete, they'll have money. They'll be ready to go. I'm just saying. Look out for the Nationals. So I think I've covered everything tonight, everyone. I talked about Yamamoto a lot. I probably coped. I will admit it. Maybe I coped a little bit. Maybe I am coping a little bit. Maybe I just really, really want my Red Sox to do something. I could be coping. Am I coping? I'm probably coping. Am I, though? Yeah, I'm probably coping. We'll have to see how this all unfolds. I have been told personally from people that I know that it could go after New Year's. Just thinking about that, it's like, oh, my God. Because, like, it's like fine if a player wants to wait until then, but when you're holding up the market, that's the problem. And it's killing me. Killing me. Ugh. Goodness gracious. We're going to have to start playing some MLB The Show on here, everyone. We're going to have to start, kind of just hanging out and just talking shop, and who knows. Hopefully, this gets done soon. Could we see a deal on Christmas? How funny would that be? Everyone's at home, enjoying time with their family, opening gifts. All of a sudden, Jeff Passan just breaks Yamamoto. Wherever. Dodgers, Mets, Yankees. Oh, my God. Red Sox, Giants. Could you imagine if he does that? I will say this. If Passan breaks on Christmas, probably not. It probably won't be Christmas. I'm just imagining this. If he breaks Yamamoto to the Red Sox on Christmas, it would be the best Christmas ever. Oh, a man can dream. A man can dream. Please put Yamamoto under my tree. I need it. Everyone, excuse my giraffe neck Robbie during this whole process. I'm really trying to keep it in check. I hope I'm not doing a terrible job. I probably am doing a terrible job, am I? Whatever. Either way, we got to see how this all goes. Could it be another week? Could it be 2? Could it maybe be a day? Could it be a couple of days? Who knows? That's why you need to have the bell notification turned on. That way, I'm live, if it breaks, talking about Yamamoto. Everyone on the way out, if you can, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe if you're new. And also, everyone, I'm asking for a little bit of help here. I posted a video this past weekend. And listen, everyone, it's kind of dragging on the views. I don't know if maybe you're just not into the video topic. I don't know, because we had a couple of good ones. We had the best free agent ever for each team. We had the worst, and the last one I thought it was a fun one, the most insane signings of all time. And it's kind of lagging a little bit on the algorithm. If you can, go watch it for me. Go leave a like on it for me. Go leave a comment. Go let me know what you think. Let's try and get that out into the algorithm. I agree. Benny Biceps. It's possible people are just bored of baseball right now because nothing's happening. So, but if you can, maybe go give it a watch, give it a like, give it a comment. But everyone, I'm out of here. I'm going to wrap this up. I am working on a video. I would like to post it this weekend, but we also have Robbie Claus coming on Sunday, and I have to get prepared for Robbie Claus's arrival on Sunday. Yes, I know it's Christmas Eve. I know, but that's a tradition here on this channel. We've been doing the Christmas Eve stream every single year for the past, I think, is it 3 years or is it 2 years? I think it's the past 2 years, but it's a tradition. Christmas Eve, Robbie Claus, one gift for each team. So I would like to post that video this weekend if I can get it done, but I also have to prepare for Sunday as well. So everyone, thank you so much for coming out. Hopefully we get some news here at some point. Hopefully, maybe 5 minutes from now. That usually happens every time I end a stream. 5 minutes later, something happens. So let's see if something happens over the next day. Be on alert. Everyone, have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.